Hi, she's Trixie and I'm Sara, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and what it provides us and what we hope it gives you. We are on episode 60 today, and we have some fun announcements. Well,
and fun things that we're doing.
I don't really know if I should say announcements as much as a big surprise in this episode.
Yeah.
The big project that I was getting done last week is completely finished and ready to be handed over to her, as it was her birthday present in the works. So you get to see it as it's being unwrapped. She has seen some of it, if not, you've seen
parts of it, but not all together.
Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty exciting. And yeah, we'll just share some of our last week with y'all. And
well, I want to say too, I spent yesterday with my best friend. We always celebrate our birthdays together since they're only 5 days apart. And the gnome that Sara made, the spring gnome, she got, and the gnome block that I made, I gave to my best friend, and she loved them both.
Was she very excited?
Yeah, the block she's gonna hang up in her kitchen, and the gnome she's gonna put on her shelf, and she's very happy with them, very, very happy. So we just wanted to put a shout out there to Jane.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Jane.
birthday. We did that for you.
Surprise.
So I had to tell her I was the client yesterday when we were opening gifts, and she's like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about it. It just never entered my mind. So
Yeah.
now you know.
Now you know.
So, well, I am on a new blanket, and it is a design by Krista from the Secret Yarnery. That's hard to say. Krista from the Secret Yarnery. And she calls it the perfect circle. And she does the circle, and then she squares it up in a different video tutorial, and then she shows you how to put it all together. I may put it together differently than she does, but it's still going to turn out really, really great. I'm just planning to sew mine together instead of crochet it together. So,
Are you going to put it in the same similar pattern of like horizontal stripe patterns, or have them be random?
I think I'm going to do random, but I bought 8 colors for them at Joann's last week with some of my birthday money, and it is bright colors, and I don't even have them with me right at this moment. I do have, however, 3 of the colors, and the black that I'm outlining. So here's one circle in the really bright pink that I absolutely love pink, but I'm making 4 circles in each of the colors. So I'm making 32 blocks. And here's the coral, or the orange.
So you're getting a really whitewashed color.
Yeah, this is
but these
really
are very neon.
Vibrant.
Yeah, neon vibrant colors.
Yes. And the teal.
I feel like they're going to come out with the black.
Oh, yes.
So maybe let's test it out with
And
what block you have finished. Yep.
This is the block when it's finished with the outlining square. Mm-hmm. And she shows you how to do that. And then she shows you how to put it together as you go. I'm so used to quilt as you go, but it's not quilting, it's crocheting. So I guess it's crochet as you go, putting them together. But I decided I'm just going to make all of my circles and then square them up and then sew them all together. And I think that'll work well for me. And so, yeah, I'm so excited. And it's not that hard to do. And I've never been real successful with circles, but this turns out so nice and round, and It's just 5 rounds. And so you start with a magic circle and you go from there. And it's very, very nice. So if you want to know how to do this, it's the Secret Yarnery, the Perfect Circle. And then if you continue watching them, I think it just goes to how to square it up and then how to put it together. So it's so nice. And maybe if I can figure out how to put it in the description, I'll try to do that. But otherwise, I've told you the information. So, oh, and I wanted to mention that my square, I'm not saying everybody's is going to turn out this way, because some of them, you know, some people are tighter and some are looser than I am. But my square is 10.5 by 10.5.
That's a good size.
Yeah, so I'm going to go 4 across and 8 down. So,
are you excited?
Yeah, and all randomly placed circles. So I think it's going to turn out really, really nice. And very summery. Yeah. Oh, and I'm using a 5mm hook. So if that helps you.
A 5mm hook on 4-weight yarn.
Yes.
Acrylic 4-weight yarn.
Yes.
Awesome sauce. Well, I have a couple of things to share. My husband was at I think this was a sale for the church.
Really?
I think he found these at a sale at a church. Like a
rummage sale or something?
Like a yard sale that they're doing
nice.
for trying to collect money, like everyone throws and stuff.
Yeah.
I think he found these here. I think he. You know what?
What a good man.
I think he might have found these at Goodwill, actually, because I know he called me about stuff at the church sale, and I told him no, yarn that I knew I wasn't going to use. And I think because he went to Goodwill that same day.
Oh, okay.
And I think that he got this at Goodwill instead. But he found these Karen yarns. One of them has a label on it, obviously, whereas the other one doesn't. But you can tell that they're Karens by how big of a size they are. They're the 1 pound Karens, and you might be able to see this shade, but it's a very soft seafoam. Color is called Soft Sage in the Karen 1 pound, and I'm just so happy to have this color because it's just very pleasing to the eye when you're not being whitewashed out by the camera. The other one he had with it is, again, one of the 1 pounders. It's partially used, but it's like the sand color.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, almost like sand.
It's sand. I know that Karen has a color sand and a color lace, so I don't know which one this is, but it's a khaki light tan color.
And the colors go very complementary.
They do. They look like the ocean, beach, and I think I'll use them together, but I'm very grateful to my husband for thinking of me.
Yeah. He's a good man. You got a good one there.
Yes. My hoarding book that I was reading was a library book, and I gave it up. I was not able to finish the book before I had to give it back, but I plan on getting my a turn, or God, what would it be called to have it checked out?
Checking it out.
I'm gonna check it out again very soon, because I remember the page I was on, and I'll just continue forward. Yeah. I did get another book that I am currently consuming as I wait. It's called Toxic Positivity, which is a very interesting case study done by a psychotherapist that is pretty famous, Whitney Goodman. She's definitely a little bit more what was I going to say? She has a little bit more of a worldview that maybe some Christians might not be able to appreciate. But I look at her work and what the case study is as a whole than just a belief system, and how she applies it. I can apply any sort of case study that is applied in the way that I'm able to use it and in what she is talking about, I agree.
Right.
So regardless of her personal beliefs, I appreciate what she is offering and what she has found and collected and been able to identify as what is toxic positivity, which is a very interesting concept of, it's almost a version of self-gaslighting that is very, it's very complex. I'm not talking about the book, by the way. I wasn't going to get into a little book corner with this. I was actually getting into the gadget that I'm about to show you, which is a book light that I am accompanying with this read. Now, I had it with some of my other reads, but I don't think I shared it with you, which is why I was bringing it up, because obviously it's a different book than what I was having before, which is why I even brought this up. So it's not about the book, but this book light is this clear plastic with this obvious handle that what happens is once you turn it on, there's lights that are then brought in the black portion of the handle that then reflect through the whole entire glass. And when at night you place this over the page, it almost makes it seem like a tablet. A tablet, like
lit up
surface light up, so you can see your page illuminated as if it was a tablet screen. It's a little different than traditional book lamps that are either the side table or the ones where they clip onto the book and then it's an extendable arm that goes over and expands. I like this just because it's designated to the surface of the page and it's coming out towards me, the reader, instead of it being much more surface space where it can interrupt anybody that I might be next to while they're sleeping.
Yeah.
But even under low light circumstances, like other places in the room, if people don't want to turn on the full room light, I can just still be able to have a reading light for my book. That kind of works as a very easily transportable thing with my book.
Yeah, like a bookmark.
I have used it as a bookmark. So again, this wasn't necessarily my book review on this book yet, as I will share as I have been doing so currently. But yeah, this is just the book I have right now that I'm reading while I'm waiting for the hoarding book to come back. And I am using this as my reading thing. So I really am enjoying the book and the reading gadget. But I thought that might not be a fun thing to share with any possible readers out there. That's a very easy Amazon just reading lamp or a reading light, very specifically a book reading light, and then they'll have a whole bunch of options of clippable ones or even ones like that where it's a screen one where you can place it over the surface of page that you're reading. So I thought that'd be fun to share with you because I feel like a lot of our audience probably are readers as well, because so far we haven't been just told, stop, go back to just not talking about anything other than what you're doing. Well, anyway, I finished my project for my mom and I was trying to protect it in the car, and I had this instant oatmeal box that happened to fit the project inside. And
hey, it's fine with me.
Pretty much what happened was after I made that spring gnome for her best friend for her birthday, she's like, Sarah, I really want one. But she wanted one that was crocheting. And I just sat there being like,
yeah.
Just crocheting? That's boring. So I might have just created a whole scene for it.
She did.
Like a normal person would. With a rug and a bench.
Oh, she made the whole scene and it's so neat.
I'm going to get a plate so I can place it and then I can just lift it up.
Okay. Wait till you see this.
The orange ball's right there.
Yeah. I have not seen the whole thing together, so I'm excited to see it all come together.
We're cutting cutting board's going to be easier. It's the most flat thing that you have. The plates are all dented in. Okay.
Here we go. Okay.
Excuse me. I am so sorry. I have to set the scene. So first, there was a rug. I made this rug out of tweed and canvas backing that I had this canvas backing that I stripped over. I pulled into an embroidery loom. I then sewed the what is this rope called?
Twine?
This twine rope into an oval shape so it looks like a rug. So that's now in space. We found a bench. And yes, it's wobbly.
Husband, right?
Yeah. Obviously you can see that's a bit wobbly because I broke it and then I had to reassemble it. Yes! There is a history here.
So it has to sit on the rug just so.
Now, this get up isn't without needing color, right? So the bench needed something. So I crocheted
A blanket, a granny square.
a granny square blanket with
She's having so much fun.
I found 2 scale little Lion brand skeins of yarn that were like 2-3 weight. So I crocheted with like a 2.5-3 millimeter hook to make this with all the colors I had. So now that's on the back of the bench. It gets better.
This is so good.
Then she needed a basket because this gnome is my mom. I made a braid. That's on her right side.
Left side.
Left side. It's in her colors. And it's also crocheting a scrappy blanket.
This is so great.
So you had to have a little basket that I, again, made out of plastic canvas this time with the tweed, where I had to form the circle and create the little basket that has the yarns that I had to roll up with different colors together because of the scrappy blanket. So now it's placed on the bench.
2 yarns at a time.
And then
This is great.
we have the gnome.
Little Miss Gnome.
The beaded nose, the beaded hands, and there is a crochet hook. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got a crochet hook that
Yes.
that I have my husband cut so that it would fit in their hand. It has a little dress or a shirt with arms. It has the hat with. I end up having to make these little skeins of yarn to sew on the hat with and make this little ball of yarn to sew on the tip. I fashioned this scrappy blanket with these little skeins of yarn, and because mostly my mom pairs most of her blankets with white, I grabbed this
Cone.
normally doily material, paired it with these small skeins to make the balls that she normally makes to make the blanket, and I have it in mid-work. So she's on there, and this little ball fits on the center of the basket. But that's not all.
My Sarah loved me. She just got done making this part.
My mom goes thrifting And so she needed her thrifted yarns that she found in the display. So I had to cut a paper bag up to make a paper bag, because that's normally what she has, a paper bag full of yarn where these little skeins of yarn are sticking out from what I use, but the little line brands are sticking out where with the yarns that she's...
But even underneath, there's still yarn underneath those
Yep.
ones.
Oh yeah, it's all canon, you know? We gotta make sure that the scene's set. So now...
There you go. Look at that.
The little balls of yarn and the little basket,
Wow.
the rug, the bench, the gnome working on her blanket, the blanket over the bench, and
the bag.
and the thrifting bag of active working supplies that this gnome has collected over her thrifting hauls. Yes. I present to you
Aw,
the scene.
thank you.
Happy birthday to
Yay.
you.
I love it. This is great. And see, this is what creativity can do. She didn't want to just do the crochet gnome. She wanted to make the whole scene. And I, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what? Dad was just going to have to find himself a new cutting board. This is it. This is staying that way. She's got herself a room.
Well, I was originally going to get you a board that I was going to put on this. Would you like me to still go get you that board, or is this
No,
good?
this is good. This is fine. I love it. Thank you so much.
Do you like it?
I do.
Does she have a name?
She's Nana Jr.
Oh, Nana Jr. Oh, I forgot the braid. Yes, there is the braid. Did she?
Yeah, you just take her off the bench.
She does have a braid too. It is there. It's right there. You even have a little scrunchie right there. It's coming out from underneath the hat, so I don't know if you saw that, but yeah. There's no pattern. My mom had an inspiration photo of this that she saw on Pinterest, which is what gave her the idea for both of the gnomes. And she sent them to me, and I kind of just came up with it on my own. Using the photos as a inspiration guide. Yeah. So yeah.
She knows how to do this stuff. I never have to worry about it. She sees something and she can just pick out how it's worked up, and I just like, I'm so inspired by that. Although I can't do this kind of stuff, but I would love to be able to, one of these days pick out a pattern and be able to do it. But yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning new things this year. That's my goal. Making these circles is a new thing for me. Putting them into a square is a new thing for me, and using one color at a time kind of is a new thing for me. I'm used to using two. So or more. Yeah. So trying new things out, making new things, it's kind of a creative way to do things. I mean, it's just that's what we're here to do. Mm-hmm. So, and we're hoping that it inspires you to get your creativity flowing too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm loving this.
It looks really good right here.
It really does. You're gonna miss her, aren't you?
I mean, yes and no. It was one of those, like, I enjoyed making it, but I knew when you make stuff, you want to see it in its forever home, if that makes sense. And
you're over here all the time, so you'll still get to see her.
Mm-hmm. The rug, the commitment I made to that rug took me so much time.
It's so cool, though.
Does Dad even know about this?
Nope. My husband is working on the other side of the state today, and he might not be home tonight and work again over there tomorrow. So he'll have to see her when he gets home, whenever that is. So,
Nana Junior.
yeah.
Man.
My grandkids call me Nana, so this has got to be Nana Junior.
Aw, man.
What?
We should have made like one of those signs that like Jane got you. Those like have a little like thing hanging off here where with a little tassel that's coming down that says Nana's Corner or Nana's Bench or something.
I'm sure you'll figure out a way.
When
When
you think the scene is done, and then you're just like, oh, there's more cherries.
Well, we can figure something out. Mm-hmm. So.
But yeah, no, this is pretty awesome.
It really is.
We could even wood burn a sign. We could even make a little. Oh my god.
Oh, she's thinking of new things, folks.
I don't think you realize how up I was when I was making these. Like how I was jumping around Joanne's like a child. Like I almost.
Oh, I can see it. I've seen you in that state before. I'm sure James was having fun.
James was just like, oh my god, just stop.
But I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this.
What I was doing. Because he's the one who turned around and found the bench. Because I was trying to find a wooden like platter board, something that was like nice rounded or nice squared off that I could just create a scene. Whether it was my original idea was creating like a really elaborate rug, not just out of tweed, but like an elaborate rug that would have a basket with your working yarn and her sitting and whatever position she is,
right.
Or even making like a little recliner or something for her. But then all of a sudden, like he turned around, he's like, "Oh, look, there's a little wooden bench," and I was like, "What?" And then he's like, "Oh, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you made like a little blanket behind there?" And I was like, I just lost it. I was like jumping, and I had already found the little skeins of yarn. I was just like, I was like a flea just jumping over.
This is so nice. I just love it.
Interesting enough, it was really easy to make those skeins that are attached to her head. You get a piece of cardboard, and I just kind of figured out its shape. I kind of mapped it out in my head, but you get a piece of cardboard and you cut it where it's as long as you want the skein to be, and you make a little tunnel and you tape it, and then you're just winding the yarn around that tube.
Oh yeah.
A whole bunch of times until you can't see the cardboard anymore around the whole entire surface on the round, and then you just put some sort of like tape or paper around the middle to make it look like it's a skein of yarn.
Yeah.
And you can make little skeins of yarn like that decoratively for like an ornament.
Yeah.
For Christmas.
Yeah.
To hang.
And I love the ball of yarn for the task or the.
That's what she had.
Okay.
The one that you sent me had these decorations on its hat. That's why I did that. But I did it in primary colors.
Oh, I like that.
With white hat, because that's what you normally use as your base color.
That's so cool. Oh, I just love her.
Yeah, so, yeah. I hope that made sense. We're just sitting here laughing hysterically. I was talking to a pastor friend of mine who, he's a really good friend. He was talking to me about something and brought up a verse to back up why he does this, which was very interesting. And I brought it up to my mom today, and so we want to share it with you.
Yeah.
Which is the idea of searching through scripture and making sure that you know what you believe on your own. Because he said that in his way of doing preaching, he always supplies this verse before he preaches, because he wants to make sure that he is not acting as if how he's interpreting it is God's word. You know what I mean? Like, you've heard those preachers where they're sitting there being like, and this is what the Bible, what God's trying to say in this passage. And it's not that isn't an interpretation, but we have to recognize that with as many interpretations as there are, with as a long history as the Bible has, there's very good ways, and especially with the aspect that we're not living in the same century that the Bible was written.
Right.
There's a lot to be taken into account when you're taking in Scripture. And this verse really proves that was the case even for them back in the book of Acts. And he challenged it, and my pastor friend challenges his congregation at any point, just be like, recognize, this is the Scriptures that I have tested and feel that hold true. That is the only thing I will ever present to you. But I always encourage you to do the same. I always do. Do not ever take what I am saying as God's word. Yeah. And so the verse is Acts 17:11. I am reading in the New Living Translation. And the beginning portion of this verse is a little bit not as it's not poetic.
It's not the location of the people.
Yeah, it's not a poetic verse. It's very real.
Yeah.
And the people of Berea?
Yeah.
Okay. And the people of Berea were more open-minded than those of Thessalonica, and they listened eagerly to Paul's messages. They searched the Scriptures day after day to see if Paul and Silas were teaching the truth. And I find that very reassuring, because the truth, if it is truth, and as we know it, Jesus is truth, the way, the truth, and the life. If we, there are ways that we can establish it, but we have to know it for ourselves. We can't just take it from what someone else says and their interpretation. And I know my mom wanted to encourage you guys.
But I wanted to say, excuse me, let me get my hair out of your way. There you go, honey. That don't just take a person's word for it. Don't even just take our word for it. Read the Bible for yourself and find out if what we're saying is true. I always give you the in the description area the verse that we read that day, and
for it,
that way you can read for yourself in your own Bibles whether what we said was true in every word that we said. You know, that we didn't just leave something out or put something in. Mm-hmm. That we're actually reading right straight from the Bible, and in the language,
the context,
the Bible that we're reading from. I always give you, if it's the New Living Translation, the New King James, the NIV, any interpretation that we're trying to read from, we're giving you that one. But you can read it from your own version, whatever one that may be, and make sure that what we're saying is true. Don't just take people's word for it. Read it for yourself.
Know your sources and be able to test it for yourself.
Yes.
That's what they did, and it was encouraged. That's what we are encouraged to do. That's what we're supposed to understand, and that's our best way to be able to understand it, is to test it to. The reality is we as humans can be very skeptical. But the reality is the more that you search for the truth and you take the time to be objective and look at all the facts,
right,
you'll be able to get the answers that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And God has built us that way, where it's not a sin to question and go further and understand what theology of what you know, and understand what you believe, so that you have those answers for yourself
and for others.
Like, I've been learning a lot more about theology, Christian theology, and like all the people who create the different theologies of like like evangelical / Pentecostal or Arminian or Calvinist, and just all these different ways of theological beliefs and where they come from and how it was an interpretation of the Bible, but even who these people were to understand how they would translate based off of the things that influence them.
Right.
Like, it's that whole recognition that there is a domino effect here. And it's just very interesting how it's just is very plainly put in the Bible. Just they took the time, they were open-minded, they were testing to see that what they were hearing was true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
and the thing is you get this literally from my grandma, your great grandma. She would read several different types of Bibles too, and and not only that, but she would read different books and people, and make her own mind up on that, and pray to God about it, and listen to what He had to say. And she was really a very learned woman on her own. She didn't even have to go to college for that. She just read books, and that's what you're trying to do, and you're going about it in our own family way.
It's one of those things where it's like, don't ever be afraid to look at the opposite view's perspective. The more that you understand where people are coming from, even if it's not your own personal view, the better you will be able to understand where they are coming from, so that if you were to want to offer them a solution, it wouldn't be out of a negative, biased state.
Or if you had a conversation with a different religious person, you would still be able to stand the ground. You know some of their beliefs, and you can tell them some of your beliefs and have that conversation. You just never know what you're going to be able to help other people understand.
And my thing is that I cannot have a relationship for God for people.
No, and everybody's got to have their own.
And that's my biggest thing, is that I am not responsible for that person's sanctification or that person's walk. And my Bible says that the Holy Spirit is what interacts with people and what tells people what's right and wrong.
Right.
I'm not responsible for that.
Right.
I'm supposed to listen myself to know what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And I am very grateful to understand what good and bad theology is, to even understand other different forms of religion and where they come from, and just even understand different belief systems, just to be able to be like, okay, even if I don't believe everything, I can take away something from this, and
Right.
and I would hope that my conversation with them would be just as insightful, that it's
Right.
not just based off of a negative bias, based off of a perceived notion of some sort of stigmatization of what media wants to place Christians, Muslims, anybody as under in being only capable of.
Right.
Because the media will only show what they want us to see, and people are not that superficial.
Right.
They're just not.
Right.
And I get very sad when people just won't let people exist.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
But like I said, I'm more than willing to read from someone that I don't agree with in every capacity, just so that I can still understand the truths that they are talking about. Just because I don't reach the same conclusions as other people does not mean that their conclusions aren't valid.
Right.
Is what I am trying to say.
Right.
He's
my
really-
grandson woke up and he wants Nana and he's cuddling up, but he's also like very, very loose, and he's just kind of letting himself flop.
He's a free-falling noodle.
Oh, yeah, he's a noodle, all right. But it's hard to hold him right at this moment. So, I think that concludes this episode with this little guy being up and everything. So,
Yep, I'm excited to share what I learned from the book I'm reading. I'm very excited about this book. It is very highly reviewed and very good. I just know that it doesn't always, I'm learning that not every writer is a Christian, and that's fine, but I can still take something from it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be so closed off where I can only read from people that believe the same thing I do. I am very capable of being able to make my own view based even here, just be able to, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay. But I still am taking a lot from this, and she's a very learned woman.
Right.
And everyone that I've been reading from is a very learned person, and it's very great. I'm loving it. So I am very happy for anyone that was able to even make it to the end of this episode, that you would stay. We love you guys, and we hope that you enjoyed our enthusiasm as we talked throughout this whole entire video about all the different projects and everything that was making us excited at the moment. And that you have a great rest of your day, and that all your projects turn out, and all the books that you're reading give you what you are hoping to know.
Yes.
And joy. So as always, we love you, and we hope that you stitch your way
to mental health.